Jonathan Lee Riches investigates. 6 months later, and we still don't know what happened with Brent Kopacka. Brent Kopacka, his name is circulating all over the internet, possibly tied to Bryan Kohberger. Some people think he's connected to the Bryan Kohberger case. Let's talk a little bit about what happened. In December 14th, December 15th, 2022, Brent Kopacka, a resident of Pullman, Washington, got into a standoff with police at his own apartment, barricaded himself, and police ultimately shot him. SWAT team. And it was around the time where Bryan Kohberger left Pullman, Washington to go back to Pennsylvania, and people are circulating his name, Brent Kopacka, thinking he could be involved or tied to the Bryan Kohberger case, or a co-conspirator, or helped and assist in Bryan Kohberger. And then there's a lot of people that say no connection whatsoever. This guy right here, Brent Kopacka. So an officer in Pullman, Brett Boyd, is the one that shot him. And I want to share with you this report right here about that incident that occurred December 15th, 2022. This was a news report from back in December of 2022, December 22nd, 2022. WSU Police Department Sergeant identified as officer who fired fatal shot during standoff. The Washington State University Police Department announced that WSU Police Sergeant Brett Boyd was the officer who used lethal force during a standoff that happened at a Pullman apartment December 15th. Boyd has been placed on administrative leave, according to WSUPD news release, which is standard after an officer uses deadly force. Pullman Police Department officers responded to a weapons offense at the Coffee House apartment on the 1000 block of Southeast Latah Street at 8 p.m. December 14th. According to the news release, officers found the man, later identified as 36-year-old Brent Lee Kopacka, was threatening to kill his roommates in their apartment. Officers tried speaking to Kopacka, but he barricaded himself inside the apartment, according to past reporting. Whitman County requested assistance from Washington State Patrol at 9 p.m. that night. Pullman Police Crisis Negotiators and Whitman County Regional SWAT Team responded and attempted to use verbal negotiations and less lethal tools, according to the news release. Kopacka discharged the weapon in his apartment during the standoff. Kopacka was fatally shot by SWAT team member, now identified as Boyd, around 4 a.m. Thursday morning. There you go, Officer Boyd. So what's going on with the Brent Kopacka investigation right now? So 6 months. It's been over 6 months. And the Washington State Patrol puts out regular updates about that incident. And they just put one out again. And this is a tweet that someone recently made. It appears that an investigation is underway into whether the shooting and killing of Brent Kopacka by Sergeant Brett Boyd was a clear shot or justified. What could there possibly be investigating 6 months later? And they attached one of those WSP, Washington State Patrol reports, update reports, like weekly reports. The below weekly update, it is a reference to the Palouse Area Law Enforcement Critical Incident Investigation Response Team, investigation of an officer involved shooting that occurred at 1000 Southeast Latah Street on December 15, 2022. There are no new updates at this time. The investigation remains ongoing. There's still an investigation going on 6 months later. What do you think that's about? But it's an active investigation. What does that really mean? Does that mean that the officer is under investigation, or the whole incident's under investigation, or is it connected to something else that has it still under investigation? Because Pullman, the authorities out there in Pullman, Washington, they won't release any records about Brent Kopacka. Now, I went to Brent Kopacka's home. If you haven't checked out that video, check it out. You know, was he tied to Bryan Kohberger in any way? People think possibly, because the affidavit of probable cause says Bryan Kohberger, during the early morning hours of November 13th, was zigzagging around that area, Nevada Street, which is like right next to the Steptoe Apartments where Brent Kopacka lived. Brent Kopacka served in the military. Thank you for your service. We love our military. And people think that, you know, Bryan Kohberger possibly would have got the K-bar knife from him, or Brent Kopacka, due to his military experience, assisted him. And then people wondering why, you know, he barricaded himself in there at his home around the 14th of December. Where was authorities zeroing in on him, going in on Brent Kopacka? I don't know. But I wanted to share an update that, you know, they're still investigating. When I get some more information or something comes out about this, I will share with all of you. What's your thoughts on Brent Kopacka? We will talk soon. Stay tuned.